welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. 10 seasons of empowering entrepreneurs, 10 seasons of bringing India's most highly innovative companies to your screens. I'm Sananda Jayaseelan. Speaking of innovation, tonight it's really exciting to be able to bring the story of one of India's most innovative businesses, changing the way ordinary Indians connect with each other in the language that they're connecting with each other, and also democratizing really freedom of speech as we know it. I'm talking about Coup. I caught up with the co-founders in Bengaluru to talk to them about why they felt there was a specific need that needed to be solved, what it meant starting up in the pandemic. They're after all a pandemic baby, so to speak, and also what the future is looking like. Listen in. Aprameya Mayank, good having you here with us in the Leaders of Tomorrow. It feels so good to be back in offices, shooting in person, and of course talking about all the things that are happening as far as innovation is concerned. And I think your company definitely is a great example of Indian innovation at its best. Aprameya, you of course you're a serial entrepreneur. You have Taxi for Sure, then you have Vocal, and we're of course now talking about Coup. What has this entrepreneurial journey been like for you? For someone who's so young and has worked on so many multiple startups and businesses that have all achieved the kind of success that they have, what's this been like for you?
So I think entrepreneurship has been serendipitous, for me at least. So I've never, back in college, I never knew the term entrepreneurship. I didn't ever imagine myself, starting a company. Various situations have led me to look at problem statements, and those problem statements have to be, I need to feel passionate enough about those problems to find solutions and then go after those, and that's basically forming a startup and solving them, right? So with Taxi for Sure, at least the whole problem of getting from one place to another wasn't being solved. Auto rickshaws were overcharging. They still do overcharge. It's hard to find those modes of transport, and it was even harder back then, 10 years ago when we started. So going after problem statements that I feel passionately about is basically what makes me start up.
So Mayank, then picking up on what Aprameya just said in terms of finding a solution to that problem. So when you were looking at Coup and really starting out Coup in the Indian marketplace, what was that problem that you were trying to solve? Because there already existed something that was so well entrenched and that was so well known. So why did you decide perhaps that this is where you wanted to be innovating and starting out?
Yeah, we saw a very new construct in India where India was becoming the second largest internet market in the world. What's unique about India is that majority of the people don't speak in English, and the first internet users in India were largely folks like us, urban users, speak in English, educated, stuff like that. But if you see the next set of users that adopted the internet, they were largely language users, and this was a very large base. Almost 300-400 million new users were coming onto the internet that did not speak in English. The global products, because they are largely in English, did not cater well to their needs. It became very clear that these users needed a different set of experiences which had to be more language immersive. And both of us are very excited about doing stuff at scale. We started thinking about this and we realized that giving someone the power to express themselves is a very big thing. Giving them a voice, giving them a stage to voice their opinions. We're always excited about scale and impact. And when we thought about impactful products, expression is a very important thing. Freedom of speech is very important. So we started looking at this problem and we realized that the existing products are not penetrated well enough in the segment that we wanted to cater to. You know, this was germination of broad thought, and you know, we discussed this during our walks in the Jayanagar office, and we then decided to pilot this, and we put together a prototype. And since we were based in Bangalore, we thought we should try this particular experiment in Kannada and see if that works. And in a few days, we had a few thousand users that were very excited about expressing themselves, connecting with each other. That's when we knew that we had something going here.
Okay, why has no one else managed to crack this space? Because, you know, like Mayank is saying, it's definitely a huge market. So why has no one else managed to crack this?
Well, it's broadly timing, right? So if you look at it, as Mayank was saying, the first few internet users in the country were all anyway English speaking. So the English speaking audience of India is anyway connected to the West through various ways, and including internet products. So there was never a need to build a separate social network ever before, apart from this time. It is post-Geo that so many hundreds of millions of people got access to internet, and then suddenly they felt alienated on existing networks, and especially the open network of expression, right? Where majority are expressing in English, and you know, as a Hindi speaker or a Kannada speaker who doesn't know English that well, you'll feel a little overwhelmed when you enter that kind of a platform. So now is the time when users are feeling that they need a separate app, they need a separate place to come and connect with each other. Existing big platforms like WhatsApp are private networks. People we know are on our WhatsApp, are on our Facebook network. So those are, you know, private networks that have been formed. In the open network space, there is nobody, right? And there is enough potential in the market to go deep and solve for connections, expression, to make it happen. So I think there's never been a better opportunity and time to, you know, develop a social network than now.
Okay, since you're saying freedom of expression, and that brings me to my next question, anything to do on social media always begs the question of how companies and businesses like yourself are perhaps monitoring what's being said, especially when there's so much, you know, hate speech and there's so much negativity going around. How do you really approach it as a company? What's your policy?
As in, there's no need to reinvent the wheel, I would say. There is a constitution, there's a democracy, there's a country in which we all live, there are laws of the land. You know, align the social network principles to all of this that exists already. If a person is behaving a particular way offline, there is no need to behave differently online. So what you wouldn't say in a public domain out loud in the offline world, anyway you shouldn't be saying online, right? So, and if it is said, then there are enough rules and regulations and law of land to govern it. So we just follow the law of land. It's as simple as that.
Okay, is it too restrictive when it comes to, you know, social media platforms like yourself in the country and the kind of regulations that we have? You know, how do you sort of view that perhaps?
Well, I think like he said, there are certain laws, and most people are aware of what should be done, what shouldn't be done. It's just that on the internet, people feel that they are masked and hence have the freedom to say anything and everything that they want. That's sort of what creates you know, issues that social media platforms deal with. We've actually created very sophisticated algorithms to figure out you know, when a post might be violating a particular rule. We have 14 to 15 categories in which we categorize you know, some sort of moderation need, and you know, most of these things are not problems that you can throw people at. So you have to depend on algorithms, you have to depend on rules, dictionaries and things like that. I think for a young company like ours, we're fairly sophisticated and you know, even progressive in the way we think about community moderation and giving the power to the users to highlight what they think is a problem.
It's time for a quick break here on this very exclusive conversation with Ku. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Tonight, our big exclusive conversation is with Ku. I want to take a step back and ask the both of you to really call out some of the events and trends which are impacting the life of entrepreneurs the way we know it today. And this is really in keeping with the fact that Leaders of Tomorrow is presently celebrating its 10th edition. The first one that I want to talk about is Atmanirbhar and what it really meant for the digital ecosystem and startups like yourself. Aprameya, maybe to you first. What has that really meant for businesses like you, this initiative by the government?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic initiative. For a long time, I think we've never thought that the basics of the internet, the basics of technology like expression, connection, communication, search for information could be solved by us locally, right? The very fact that a country like China could develop their own ecosystem and then take certain products like Zoom and TikTok to the world, they have shown us what a country of that size can do in a decade, right? I think this is our decade, India's decade, and the whole theme of Atmanirbhar Bharat that the Prime Minister has started, I think it's great because it gives young entrepreneurs the confidence that everybody's supporting you, everybody wants us to succeed. We can develop our own technology. We don't have to depend on others. We can develop our own technology and then take that technology to the rest of the world. So I think, just instilling that kind of confidence has gone a long way, right? And because of, so we came into limelight because of various initiatives like Atmanirbhar Bharat App Challenge that was done in 2020, right? We were actually 3 months into the product and we just applied, not even thinking we could even participate or leave alone win. And then we actually won. We were the top 3 apps and that brought us into limelight. And then, we got a lot of prominent faces starting to use the platform, right? That gave us even more confidence that what we are building is impactful, it is needed by the country, by the most important folks to be able to connect without a barrier with people who don't speak English.
Sure.
Because the Western social media that has been developed so far limits you to English. So all of us, when you give us a product on the internet, we default to English.
Yeah.
I know Kannada, I know Hindi, I want to connect with Kannadigas and the Hindi belt of India. But, the habit has formed that I only speak in English on the internet. That is what we're breaking with Ku. And that makes us even more Atmanirbhar, right? Because the challenges of solving for languages is something that is unique to India, multiple languages especially. And nobody sitting outside will be able to understand the nuances of this. Sitting here in India, visiting various regions, we are able to understand and we are going to be the entrepreneurs who will develop the technology to solve for this.
Okay, so for someone who's watching this interview, and Mayank and Aprameya, to both of you, what according to you will make startups truly Atmanirbhar, right? Is it funding? Is it the way the regulation is formed for the startup ecosystem for the both of you who've managed to scale in 2 years and you have 30+ million downloads from what I understand, sitting where you and you have that bird's eye view, what's it going to take to make India startups truly self-reliant? To you first.
We always had funding, we always had entrepreneurs, we always had the talent. What Atmanirbhar Bharat has done as an initiative is that it's made clear a very strong intent. Of the government, of the people. If you look at a lot of our reviews, they say that I love the fact that this is made in India and I want to use a made in India app. If you look at a lot of the products on Amazon, you'll see that there's a clear sign saying made in India. You'll see the made in India logo a lot more now than you've seen it before. So there's a certain kind of awareness even among people where they are very happy and proud to be using an Indian product. So that's a big shift in Indian users and more so in language users. And that is what helps entrepreneurs scale their products because you have a large user base that's very excited about using Indian products. It's a government that's talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. India should shine. For the first time, India's crossed China in terms of digital payments, thanks to the UPI framework, which is unique to India. So, there's a certain kind of excitement and emotion about it's our time.
Sure.
It's our time to shine, and that instills confidence in entrepreneurs, that instills confidence in the ecosystem, that entrepreneurs are going to build products that are very relevant to India and go more deep. And the user faith and the user excitement about using Make in India and Let's Make India Win, that emotion goes a long way.
Aprameya, what is the biggest challenge for startups in your mind today? How can that perhaps be solved? And maybe on the flip side, what's the biggest opportunity for startups in India today?
I'll talk about the opportunity first. I think India is a very nuanced market. There are so many unique problems to solve at every village level, at every small town level, that nobody else is even aware of.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, as I was saying, our decade has come. It's the apna time aayega for India, right? So we solve our problems. If we say we make 100 companies solving for India-specific problems, at least 5 of them will also be accepted globally. These will resonate with the rest of the world. Even if not the entire world, at least markets like India, Southeast Asia, Africa. So there will be enough products that will be accepted outside India as well, but our focus should be to solve for India first.
Sure.
Right? And that's what we are doing at KU as well. As far as challenges go, I think, just getting everybody to dream big and execute on those dreams, I think, that is a phase that we're going through, that everybody should believe in themselves, believe that they can beat the best, be better than the best in the world today, I think is a mindset challenge.
Okay.
Right? And we will pass through that. Okay. A few examples, hopefully KU will be one of those examples where we can beat the best in the world and everybody else says, oh, okay, if these guys can do it, we can also do it. And after that, it's just, the world is open to us.
I'm surprised you didn't pick funding as perhaps the biggest challenge that startups face today.
Good startups, like India is getting funded more than ever before. I think good companies will always get funding. Funding ideally should come from India,
Okay.
but that will open up over a period of half a decade or a decade. But foreign markets are still investing in India. I think financial money into India is great. So.
Sure.
We should definitely accept it and get as much funding to as many startups as possible, and build hundreds of startups that can conquer the world.
The second big trend or event that I want to call out for our entrepreneurs is the pandemic, of course, and that's changed the way business is being done across geographies across the world. What did it mean for you specifically at KU, and 2, for just the startup ecosystem, especially here in Bengaluru? How did you perhaps respond quickly to that challenge? And also for the business, how did it respond to the opportunities that were being thrown up by the pandemic?
Well, the pandemic is something that's very unique to most professionals in the world, right? They weren't used to working digitally, coordinating, working from home. It was a very challenging time. It was a new construct for most of us. KU was actually built during the pandemic. We launched just a few days after the lockdowns were announced. So this is a pandemic baby, and most of our team has been working remotely. The coordination issues and all of that in the beginning, especially when you're launching a new product, can be very challenging for the team. Somehow, we got through the phase, and I'm actually very proud about the fact that This product was entirely built during COVID, and we've been able to get to the distance that we have in such a short span. I think a lot of startups have, have seen or had experiences that they never had before. I know a lot of startups that shut down at that time, couldn't make it, whether it was funding, whether it was a general atmosphere, the feeling about, this is not the right time to be funding. Fortunately for us, because we are in the content space, a lot of people were at home and they were looking at connecting with other people. A lot of people felt lonely. So it was a great opportunity for a product like this, which was helping connect people through their thoughts, through their opinions. They found a lot of comfort in a product like Koo. They were able to chat with each other. A lot of people wrote to us saying, I'm not feeling lonely, thanks to Koo. So we got great reviews at that time. So I think for most startups, the pandemic didn't pan out too well. For us, it was a great thing, I guess.
Yeah. That's all for tonight, but if you have any queries, our contact details are coming up on your screens. Any feedback, anything at all, do send it our way. You could also create a Koo and send that across to us using the hashtag LOTS10. We love hearing from you, the entrepreneurs, always. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.